All right. Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my name is Richard Beaver, and I'll be your presenter today for this Lacerte What's New webinar. Let me just give you a little bit of background about myself, and then we'll talk about our learning objectives and our agenda for the day, and then we'll get moving into the presentation. So I've worked for Intuit for 13 years, and I mostly have worked in the support department, and I've done support for several different of the Intuit products, primarily Lacerte, but also the Pro Series program, QuickBooks, and EasyAct. Currently work in the Lacerte Tax Assistance and Escalation Group, and I've done a variety of training programs, both for external clients like yourselves, as well as internal clients like our new hire training classes and so on. So that's a little bit about me. Next, let's talk about our learning objectives. So by the end of this presentation, we hope that you will understand some updates that we've made to the Lacerte website, and also a little bit of information about our system requirements for the Lacerte program for 2012. We'll talk about some new security features that we've added, as well as some time-saving functionality. We're going to talk about Modernized E-Filing and how that affects primarily the individual tax program, as well as talk about some expanded e-file offerings that we've added for 2012. We've really done a lot of work in the e-file area for 2012, so we'll talk a lot about that. We'll talk about some new Lacerte offerings, some Lacerte bundles. And then after we finish that, that'll be about the what's new for 2012. And then we'll take a few minutes at the end of the presentation to talk about some time-saving functionality, primarily around the tax import functionality and also around tax research. So our agenda, the order here is we're going to go through this quick introduction. We'll talk about some new and improved features, modernized e-file and e-file new returns, some new offerings, tax import, researching answers, and then we'll do a review and conclusion, and that will also include our Q&A time. All right, so with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into talking about some of the new and improved features. And first of all, as part of this, we want to talk just a little bit about the Lacerte system recommendations for the 2012 program. And this hasn't changed substantially from last year, but I just want to call out a few items. First of all, processor-wise, we recommend that you have at least 2.4 gigahertz dual-core processor. For memory, we recommend at least 3 gigabytes of RAM for 32-bit operating systems and 4 gigs of RAM for 64-bit operating systems.
Excuse me, Richard, let me jump in here. We had a few people asking if it may be possible for you to speak up a little bit louder. Also, one other thing, I see there's an issue with the download of the slides here. I'm going to work on that for you guys, but please note that those slides, for those of you who are registered and watching this, those slides, PDF of those slides will be sent to you by way of email as a follow-up to this presentation.
Okay. All right. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. I'll try to get a little closer to my mic and talk a little bit louder here. So again, as far as the hard drive space, we recommend 2.5 gigabytes of hard drive space. That'll give you enough room to install the entire program with all the modules on it. Here we recommend a 19-inch monitor. One just little call out here, if you're not already using a dual monitor setup, even though it's not certainly a requirement or anything, we really recommend that, because if you have two monitors, you can use things like having your source document up on one screen and the Lacerte program up on another, and it really makes it a lot faster for doing data entry. And then most of the other stuff is fairly straightforward, kind of standard stuff. And again, you'll have this information in the PDF document as well as up on the Lacerte website. Okay, the next thing that we want to talk about is the actual website, the new Intuit Accountant's website. This has been updated for a little while now, so you may have already seen this. If you haven't, let me just talk a moment about it, because we've made some big changes in the website and some changes that hopefully will save you a little bit of time and a little bit of hassle, particularly in the logging in section. One of the big things that we've done is we've set up a single sign-in where you have one login for all of your Intuit products. So if you're a Pro Advisor and a Lacerte user, an EasyAct user, whatever the case is, you get a single sign-in for all of those products. Then we've also done some work in improving the navigation and the download experience, as well as this My Account dashboard, which I'll show you some screenshots in a moment. That dashboard is a really cool feature to help you get information about your various products in one central location. So this is just a quick glance at the website, and this is the dashboard that I was talking about. What's nice about the dashboard as opposed to the way the website used to work is when you log into the website and go to the dashboard, up at the top you're going to get just a general overview. It's going to have some information about your account information, and also it'll have things like various alerts up in the top here that you can take a look at. And then down below is going to be a section for each of your different products. So again, you may have the Lacerte program, you may have the Pro Advisor program. So each of your products will be listed here, and then you'll have some quick links to various aspects of those parts of the website, things like being able to download updates, for Lacerte doing things like getting e-file information, your REP billing, and so on. And so really it quickly allows you to get to the more commonly used aspects of the website, and hopefully that'll save you a little bit of time. In addition, we've worked really hard on improving navigation, just making it more intuitive, easier to navigate, and we've also spent some time on the download experience, particularly making the downloads a little bit more stable, so hopefully you won't encounter any errors in downloading the program, maybe a little bit faster, and just easier to find the most recent update to download. Okay, and then a couple of other new features that we've done, and these two are around enhanced security. And these are both pieces of functionality that you've been asking for a little while, and so we've got these implemented in the 2012 program. The first one is the ability to create and email password-protected PDFs. In the past, there wasn't a good way to do that within the program itself. Now, there was a way to print that to DMS and then password protect it in DMS and send it out of DMS. But now you can do this directly from the Lacerte program. And then also there is the ability to mask the Social Security numbers. So when you print out a copy of the return, if you want to email that or you're going to send it in the mail and you want to make sure you protect the privacy, you can mask the Social Security number on that. So let's take a look at these features real quickly. They're pretty straightforward. Again, the first one is this ability to create and email password-protected PDFs. And the functionality here, and I'll take you into the program and just show you a quick example of this here in just a second. The functionality is part of just the regular print tax return menu. So when you go to print tax return, what you'll see is under the client copy, there is a new section that says email password protected PDF. And if you just check that, and you can do that along with other copies of the return that you're printing, that will allow you then to create and email off that password protected PDF. Once you click on print, you'll get a little just a menu here about saying okay to take into the options and so on. This is just the screen that you'll get, and then once you do that, that will again do the password protected PDF for you. Now, there are a couple of options regarding how this client file password is set up. These are in the user options under the Setup tab, and again, I'll show you this in just a second. But basically, the password can consist of one or both of these items, and those items are the last 4 digits of the Social Security number or the EIN, and the zip code. This is the same format we use for eOrganizer. So again, you can use either one of them or both of them, and I really recommend that you use both of them because that'll make the password more secure, and that is the default setting. Okay, so let me take you into the program and just show you that very briefly. Okay, so you should now be looking at the 2012 program. And so let me just show you this functionality here very quickly. So if you go up to the print menu and go to tax return, under the client copy again, that is where you're going to have the option to email the password protected PDF. So if you just click on that and then click OK, that takes you through the print mechanism, and then it'll give you the option. It will create the password protected PDF there for you. And then those options that I was talking about, again, if you go up to Settings and Options and go up to the Setup tab, down under the Complete Return, there's a new section called Email, and this is where you can come in here and check the password format. So again, the identification number, the zip code, either one of those or both of those. Okay, so let me stop sharing and take you back out to the presentation here, and then we'll move on. So let's talk a little bit about what's new in the, first of all, in the individual module. Now, one thing to mention is you're all familiar with the fiscal cliff and sequestration and all this mess that's been going on. There is a separate presentation that we're doing about tax law changes. So we're not going to spend a lot of time in this presentation talking about the various tax law changes because that, again, is in another presentation. This deck was created before the deal that was passed back on January 1st. So this little slide, while it's currently still applicable, it won't be applicable for very long. What this slide is talking about is that, as all of you know, a lot of the various provisions were set to expire. Currently in the program, there is input in a lot of fields, for example, like the itemized deduction field or the adjustments to income field, that has items that were set to expire, like tuition and fees deduction, student loan interest deduction, and so on. Currently in the program, those fields are in the program, but they are inactive. So if you enter those information, it won't go into the return. Now, we do produce a diagnostic about that, and there's also a note in those different input screens, but currently those fields are inactive. However, since most of those items, or a lot of those items were extended, then there will be an update coming out shortly that's going to take care of that. Again, I recommend you go to the separate tax law update webinar to get all the information about what has changed there. And then also in the estate module, just one brief note about the estate module. We've added a new form in the estate module called the Schedule PC, which is a protective claim for refund. This has been added in screen 43. And basically this is a statement or a schedule that allows a taxpayer to preserve their right to a refund of estate taxes paid when a claim or expense which is subject to an unresolved controversy at the time of filing. So if there's some deduction that is questionable and so it's not taken on the original return, you can file this form so that they can then go back and claim the refund if it turns out that that expense is deductible. So the input for that, again, is in screen 43, and it's fairly straightforward input. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is some time-saving functionality. Just a couple of minor changes here. One has been we've done some work on the Lacerte update functionality, and basically we've just made some changes primarily on the back end to improve the stability of downloading updates. So if you've had any problems in the past with an update not completing or it's stopping in the middle of the update or something like that, those are the types of things we've worked on to make sure that those types of issues don't happen anymore. So that should be a little bit faster and more stable. And then we've also made some minor changes to the Lacerte spell checker functionality. Basically, we've made it look a little bit more like a MS Office type spell checker. And also we've given it some increased customization. So, for example, one of the big things that you can do now is go in and create custom dictionaries. So this just shows you the new look of the spell checker. And again, like I said, this looks very, very close to what you would see in something like Microsoft Office. And then again, the custom dictionary, this, like I said, allows you to go in and put words in the custom dictionary. What we found is, our industry has some very specific terminology that in a normal dictionary, a normal spell check dictionary may not be in there. So by allowing you to edit this custom dictionary, you can go and put those words in this dictionary to make your spell checker have a little bit more functionality. Okay, next thing that we want to talk about, and this is sort of one of the biggest areas that's changed as far as the 2012 program. This is Modernized E-File in the individual module, as well as some new returns and forms that we've added to the E-File program. Again, this is where we've spent a lot of our development time for 2012, so there's a lot of new things in here that I think you'll appreciate. So the first one that we want to talk about is Modernized E-File, specifically in the individual module. So Modernized E-File has finally come completely to the individual program. So there's no more of the dual payload or the legacy file format. Everything as far as federal and most states are for Modernized E-File. Now the big thing that for you, the big benefit for you is that you can now attach PDFs to individual tax returns, both for federal and state. So that is a big area that y'all have been asking for a long time, and now you've got that ability. The functionality is very similar to like what you see in the business modules. It's just in the E-File screen. And assuming my screen sharing works, we'll go over there and show you that in just a moment. We've also done some work on expanding the input warnings and diagnostics. This is so we can try to trap more errors that will cause E-File rejects. And so if we can catch those before you E-File the return, hopefully we'll have less rejects, which will save you time, save you some trouble from, maybe you missed some information from the client when, they were not in the office, or when they were in the office. So these diagnostics hopefully will help you check all of that information so that once you transmit it, it's more likely that it's going to be accepted. The other thing is we've added a new input screen for the Form 1099 miscellaneous for E-File transmission. There are some states that are requiring a 1099 miscellaneous to be created in the E-File, particularly if there's state withholding. And so we have now added that input so you can generate that 1099 miscellaneous. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that is only going to create that form in the E-File itself that gets transmitted. You won't see a 1099 miscellaneous form, like in the Forms tab, you won't see one. but this will put one in the e-file. We've also transitioned 17 states to Modernized E-File for 2012, and that is in addition to the 25 that we transitioned last year. So you only have a small handful of states that are not on Modernized E-File. There's also a new section in the options under electronic filing to put in some ERO contact information. And this is related to a requirement by an IRS requirement that transmitters, which in this case transmitters refers to us at Intuit, has to verify certain information from the EROs, which is you. So we've added in the Firm Info tab a section to select an ERO contact, and normally this ERO contact would match the ERO contact of the when you filled out your 8633, your application for your EFIN. That ERO contact, that's the person you select, and this comes from your prepare list. And then also we have this button, ERO information if different. Normally we try to verify your information based on your prep file, your firm information from your prep file. However, if the firm information that you use to file your application for your EFIN is different, then you would need to check the box and put in the information that was on your application for an EFIN. So some other information that we want to talk about as far as e-filing goes, we've added a lot of forms to the individual and business e-file program, a lot of forms that we're supporting for e-file. Some of these, like the ones you're seeing on the screen now, are related to e-file mandates. So these items here are mandated for e-filing, things like the 1040 extension, New York, partnership, corp, and S corp amended, 1120 consolidated returns. You'll see the complete list here. So all of these are mandated, and these all have now been added as supported e-file forms in the Lacerte program. And then this next list is ones that we've added that have not been mandated. So things like the federal 1041 extension, New York 1040 extension, Maryland 1040 extension, and so on. So these items, again, are not mandated, but you now have the ability to e-file these. And also in your PDF, there's an appendix of some additional state forms that we added as far as support goes. These are ones that in the past may have had to have been separately filed. Those are now included in the e-file. And again, in your PDF, there's an appendix that lists all of those state forms. So again, this is an area that we spend a lot of time in development, making sure that we're staying up with all of the mandated forms, as well as just trying to fill out the e-file library generally. So hopefully this will save you some time, allow you to e-file these returns for 2012. Okay, the next thing we want to do is just talk about a couple of new offerings. These are various bundles that you can talk to your salesperson or the customer service department about. And the first one is this is a new benefit, basically. It's called the Tax Import 25. And basically, we'll talk a little bit about tax import in just a moment. We think that if you take advantage of the new tax import functionality, you'll really find that it can save you a lot of time in preparing returns. So in order to sort of help you learn about this product, we've got this new offering where for for unlimited clients, you can get 25 free uses of the tax import functionality in the 2012 program. And if you are a Lacerte 200 or an REP client, you get 5 free uses of the tax import in 2012. So this is a good way to take advantage of these bundles and see if the tax import functionality does in fact save you time, if it's something that you can integrate into your workflow. And if you like it, then you may want to go ahead and license the tax import product. And then the next one is this Lacerte 200 bundle. And this is designed for professionals who file less than 200 federal 1040 returns. And basically this is just a new lower cost bundles for people who fall into that category. And so if you are in that category, again, just talk to your sales rep or customer service, and they can talk to you about that particular bundle. Okay, so that is a little bit of information about what's new in the 2012 program. Next thing we want to do is talk about some different ways that you can import information into the Lacerte program. Importing information, there's a lot of different ways in the Lacerte program that you can import information, various types of information. And so we want to go through just a few of these different types because, again, if you import information into the program, that's going to save you a significant amount of time so that you're not doing data entry. So just a few of the different ways that you can import information in here. There's things like trial balance utility, the Schedule D import, K1 data import, tax import, fixed asset import, and e-organizer. So let's go through each one of these just very briefly. The first one is the trial balance utility, and as part of it, the SmartMap utility. And this is a functionality that allows you to bridge in information from either QuickBooks, from an Excel spreadsheet, or from the Easy Apps program. And this bridges in accounting information, so balance sheet information as well as income statement information. And when you bridge in the information, there's a couple of ways that it will map that information into the Lacerte program. One of them is if you're using QuickBooks and you do the tax line assignments, we will read those tax line assignments and bridge it in automatically from that. However, if you're not using QuickBooks, like you're bridging it in from the Excel spreadsheet, or if you don't use the tax line assignments in QuickBooks, then one thing that we have added in recent years, and we've been improving upon it, is this SmartMap functionality. And so what the SmartMap will do is it will try to determine automatically where a particular item should flow to in the Lacerte program. So it'll try to recognize it by the type of the account it is, like whether it's an asset, a liability, income item, or whatever, and then based on the name. Now, if it can't figure out what it is, then it'll allow you to go in there and manually map that to a specific location in the Lacerte program. The nice thing about this is once you do that mapping, the Lacerte program will remember that mapping, and so then when you bridge in a client file, even if it's a different company file, it will remember that mapping and map that automatically, so it gets smarter as you use this functionality. So for the trial balance utility, this type of information, particularly if you're doing business returns, can save you an awful lot of time because you can bridge in, almost everything into the program and then just go through and review the return and then process that return. It can save you a huge amount of time, and that's the trial balance utility and specifically the SmartMap. Now, there's also the Schedule D import. So this allows you to bridge in stock transactions if you have them in an Excel spreadsheet. And the nice thing about this is pretty flexible as far as the functionality goes. So, for example, in the Schedule D import, you can go in and tell the program what type of information is contained in each column of your Excel spreadsheet. So that way, you don't have to have the spreadsheet in any particular format. So if you have different, or your client has different brokerage accounts from different companies, and the spreadsheets could be in all kinds of different formats, you can go in with this utility and create a template for each one of those and bridge in that Schedule D information very quickly. The next one is the K1 data transfer. This is a piece that has been in the program for a number of years, although we continue to expand the functionality of this one. So what this allows you to do is if you prepare a pass-through entity in the program, so a partnership, an S corporation, or a fiduciary, you can then bridge that information into an individual return or into another pass-through entity return or another business return, and so you don't have to re-enter that K1 information. The next thing we want to talk about is tax import, and this one is the newest of this functionality. Unfortunately, because of the screen sharing, I can't show you a demonstration of this, but let me talk a little bit about this functionality, and then I'll show you in the program where you can get a walkthrough of this functionality. Basically, the tax import, this is an add-on solution, so it's a separate product. And basically, it allows you to bridge in information in a couple of different ways. One of them is through scanning in source documents. So you can scan in a W-2, 1099s, K-1s. It'll scan that document. It'll upload to our server. We will convert that information into data that you can then import into the Lacerte program. It'll import it into your various input screens, and you don't have to key in that information by hand. You just go in and review the information, and it'll save you a lot of time. The other one is basically an import from a direct input from various brokerage companies and payroll companies. So what this will allow you to do is basically there's a process where your client will give you permission electronically to download the data, and then you'll be able to get their data from the brokerage company and bridge that information into the program automatically. There's a good list of brokerage firms that we support currently, and this is an area we're working on to expand that. And this is another area to save you a lot of time. Now, and again, I apologize not being able to show you this demo, but if you go into the Lacerte program and go into the, if you click on where it says import and then go to tax import, there is a tax import step-by-step tour, and this will show you both input or import functionality methods, so you can see how it works. And then, like I said earlier, we've got this bundle deal where you can take advantage of this free trial of tax import. So take a look at the tour and then give it a try, and I think you'll find that it'll save you a substantial amount of time, and it'd be very worth your while to take advantage of that product. Okay, and then the last thing we want to talk about very quickly before we get into our Q&A is the tax research functionality. Again, this is a product, an add-on product, and it's a product that's been in the program for a few years, but it's a program that we are constantly working on and expanding. So if you haven't taken a look at this program in a while, really recommend that you give it a try and take a look at it. We've done a few things to improve it. First of all, the content is constantly being expanded, and so currently there's over 1.5 million tax-related documents, and it's powered by B&A, so we get the content licensed from B&A. And then we've integrated it into the Lacerte program so you can search within the program, and it's also context sensitive. So based on what input screen you are in, it will give you some suggestions of different articles, and then, of course, you can search that. The search, we've started working with the Google search engine to make searching within the tax research program a lot easier and a lot more effective. And then, of course, any documents that you find in tax research, you can attach those to the actual tax return itself. So then when you are printing the return, you can print the research with it or just print that to DMS so that then if you need to reference that information, you come back with the IRS is questioning something or your client is questioning something, you can go into DMS or your folder and you've got that tax research to support your position. So again, this, like I said, this has been in the program for a while, but if you haven't ever used it or if you haven't tried it in a year or so, definitely recommend giving it a shot because we've really improved this functionality. All right, so quick review, and then we will do some more housekeeping and then get into Q&A. So during this presentation, we've talked about some new and improved features like the accountant website, some security enhancements, and some tax-saving improvements, time-saving improvements, really. I wish they were tax-saving. Talked about Modernized E-File and some of the new e-file returns and forms. We talked about some of the new offerings like the Tax Import 25 and the Lacerte 200 bundle. We talked about some various ways you can import information into the program and also about researching answers for tax information. All right, so we've got a few minutes here. So if you have any questions that you haven't put in yet, go ahead and do that at this time, and I will look through these questions and start answering a few of these. Give me just a moment here. Okay, one question is about the password password protected PDF. You may see that it is currently grayed out, and that is because in the earlier versions that functionality was not finalized. So if it's grayed out right now, it's going to be, that functionality will be finalized this month. I'm not sure the exact update it'll be on, but if yours is grayed out right now, that's just because the update's not available to finalize that functionality, but it will be there. So yeah, don't worry about that. It will be available. Let's see here. One is another question about trial balance utility, the various import utilities. Basically, has it been updated to import data from the XLSX format, which is the newer Microsoft Office or Microsoft Excel functionality? Let me take a look. I don't believe it has been updated yet for that. That is in the works. Let me take a look. If it hasn't been updated, you can always just open that document up and save it back out to the older XLS format or into even a CSV format if you're using a different program. Don't believe that functionality has been changed, but let me see if I can find out here real quick for you. And let's see, while I'm doing that, let me take a look at these other questions here.
Richard, this is Mary, the Lacerte Product Manager. I have a quick correction for you. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. For those that are seeing the email PDF checkbox that is grayed out, what you will find that it is enabled when you select client copy, custom copy, or partial return in that upper portion of the print return screen. That will enable that checkbox for you. That feature should be available to you as of the December 12th release.
All right, well, there you go. Okay. As far as this XLS, does not appear to have been updated. Yeah, it does not look like it's been updated, but again, it's a fairly simple solution to that. You can just open it up and save it back out to the older format. Let's see here. There's a question about the spell check. there's a couple of places where it is where you can access the spell check. Basically, the places where you'll be putting in a statement. So, for example, if you're in the note screen 47 in the individual program, and you're typing in, for example, let's say letter miscellaneous 1, some item there, you can access the spell checker there. Or if you're doing, I believe you can get it in like a Control E table. So certain of the, not all of the Control E tables, but certain of the ones where it's a required description, the spell check will be available there, and also like in the notes, and also in like your client letter setup. All of those places, the spell check will be available. There's someone talking about they don't use the business modules, so they're not familiar with the attaching the PDF. So let me just kind of walk you through the steps. And again, I apologize about not being able to display it. But as far as the functionality goes, in the individual program, the functionality is going to be in screen 4, which is your e-filing screen. And when you go into screen 4, up at the very top, there's just going to be a button that says PDF attachment. So if you click on that, that'll take you into a separate screen, and you can click on Attach PDF up at the top there, and then it'll give you a window where you can just browse your regular documents, like a Windows screen, where you can browse out to your windows and find where that PDF is located. And then once you do that, it'll ask you for the description of the file, so you can just type in a name of it. And then you can link it to a particular form. And when you link it to a particular form, there will be a list of items that you can attach to that particular form. So, for example, if you're attaching it to the 1040 itself, things will be available like a birth certificate, death certificate, divorce decree. If you're attaching it to, like a Schedule D, it'll be things like replacement property purchase statement, ESOP, stock purchase consent, and so on. So for each form, like I said, there's different items that you can attach to it. And then you'll just type in or select the activity name or number. So if you attach it to a Schedule C and you have multiple ones, you'll just select the activity. And then you can also add in multiple ones. So just like in some of the other Lacerte input screens, there will be a window over on the left, and you just add an additional one if you have multiple PDFs. The functionality is pretty straightforward. So I think once you go into screen 4 and just see it, you'll be able to see that functionality pretty easy. Thanks a lot.